Hi, welcome to techspotde.com. This is the first of many videos or tutorials that I'm going to be doing on primarily the Ubuntu operating system or Linux operating system in general, and maybe some other network and system configuration tutorials in the future regarding Windows. And Mac OS, of course, which is another favourite of mine. So let's go right ahead and talk about this video, which is about DHCP, which is Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. It's a bit of a grey area, really, as people say to you, well, what is DHCP? I suppose the most fundamental task of DHCP really is providing IP addresses to its clients. Clients are your computer that you use, your laptop, your smartphone. Anything that connects to your network is a client. DHCP primarily uses three different address allocation mechanisms when assigning IP addresses. You've got a manual allocation, automatic allocation, and a dynamic allocation. Manual allocation is that's the administrator assigns you an IP address to a client, and DHCP only communicates with that IP address to the device. Automatic, is it's automatically assigned to your device, and it's pulled from a pool of available IP addresses. There's no lease time on it, and the address is permanently assigned to that device, whatever you're using. And dynamic allocation, which is what we're going to be talking about today, really. This is where a IP address is assigned to your device from a pool of available, again, IP addresses, but it has lease times. So the lease times are for saying, okay, you can borrow this IP address for, 3,600 seconds, which is usually the default lease time, 3,600 seconds. Or it can say, yeah, you can have it for a little bit longer if you want, and when you finish, just hand it back. It's just like renting a movie. You go to a store, say, I'd like to rent a movie, please, for 2 days. You pay your money, take the movie away, and take it back when you're finished. Same thing with the dynamic allocation of IP addresses. You're only borrowing it. It's not yours for good, because it might want to issue that IP address out to somebody else or another client on your network. So, in a nutshell, that's what DHCP is and what it does. So, for our tutorial today, we're going to be using a system which I'm more familiar with and I like to use. Is basically putting a bare metal machine, whether it be a server or an old computer, in between your ISP router and your local area network, thus creating your gateway, essentially. So let's just have a look at a very basic topology of a gateway using DHCP, and we'll talk about that in detail. Okay, here we go. As you see on the top here, we have the what I would probably class as the ISP router, or the box that comes from your internet service provider, whatever shape or form it's in. We just use that as a example. Okay, and you see it says ETH0. That's your cable coming from your ISP router to your new DHCP server. So ETH0 depicts, that's the first network interface card, ETH0. One cable coming into that card, and then we need a cable coming out to your local area network. That's coming out of ETH1. and you see there's a cable coming down to your switch, and then that switch subdivides the traffic to your clients, however many clients you have distributed across your network. This network address here, that's your local area network. That's the gateway address because it's got the 1 on the end. You always find usually that normally, I say normally because some people do things different, normally it ends in 1 because that's the gateway. So we've got 10, 10, 1, 1, and then 24 on the end. What is 24? Well, 24 it means depicts it's a 24-bit subnet mask. So you've got 255.255.255.0, and there's your subnet mask. Okay, so this is the basic layout or topology of the configuration and what we're going to be dealing with today. So let's go right ahead and actually start configuring our machine. So let's just pull that down, and here we go. This is Ubuntu Server. It's 12.10, the version. I just booted up into a virtual machine just to for this tutorial, and it's booted as a clean install every time. I don't save the settings or anything, so I can use the fresh canvas each time. As you can see, the IP address at the top there, ETH0, that's 192.168.178.35. That's the IP address essentially to the outside, going direct to the ISP's router. So that's your route out. So we need a route in. And this is the first thing that we're going to configure, essentially, is your route out statically and your route in statically, because servers should always be static. It's bad practice to have DHCP on a server. All sorts of problems. However, we won't go into that today. We'll go into that on another tutorial in the future. But for today, let's start making some configuration changes. It's a tongue twister, isn't it? So, first one is we need to make a change to a file called interfaces. That's held within your etc or etc folder, where most of your configuration files are, ironically. So we go sudo nano. I said it's located in etc, and primarily networks or network, and then like I said it's interfaces. There we go. What's my password? That's because I'm trying to elevate the command, pretending I'm a root user, but I'm not. So if I want to make any changes to this, I have to elevate my command to sudo. Otherwise I can't save anything. Okay, here we go. So we've got iFace ETH0 iNet DHCP. Obviously we don't want that because it's a server and we want it to be our gateway as well. So we need to make some changes here. Now, first of all we need to change this from DHCP to static. And then we need to pull in the address. Now I've got some addresses here which I've kind of typed out. I just want to make some changes to them though, because we're not using the exact IP address here, but I'll paste these in anyway. So change this one to 35 because that was the original IP address that the server was allocated when I booted it up. Just to make things easy, we're going to make it 35 again. You can have whatever you like, as long as the IP is available from your router or ISP router, then that's fine. You can use them. All the other details in this text here is the same, stays the same. There's no difference there because it's all going to the outside world or the the router rather, ISP router. Okay, so that's that one done. That's the route out. So what about the LAN? It needs a connection itself, so we need to go auto ETH 1. Didn't pick a good time to do this tutorial. I got a terrible throat, so I do apologise. inet static again address. We can use whatever IP address we choose. There's no hard and fast rule. There are some rules, but we won't go into that today, and we'll talk about those in the future. Okay, here we go. Address netmask. Netmask is always starts with 255. 255.0. Doesn't have to always be that. It could be 255.255.0.0. It could be anything. But this is fine for the moment. Network is 10.10.10.0. All the bits turned off. Broadcast. That's 10.10.10.255. All the bits turned on. Okay. Don't need to put a gateway in because that address at the top there, that is your gateway. You are the gateway to the outside world. So this machine is the gatekeeper. If you're a Ghostbusters fan, it's taking us back a bit, isn't it? Anyway, so there we go. That's all the details that we need in that screen for the moment. We can save that, keep it as is. Remember what I said. We've got ETH1, ETH0, and ETH1, as you saw in the diagram earlier. So let's go ahead and save that. Control X, Y, press enter. By the way, I use Nano on all my editing. Some people use VI. Some people on desktop environments use Gedit. I've always used Nano, and it's very flexible. So I have to say, I recommend you use Nano if you want to do things easy. So next thing we need to do, we need to tell it to do some forwarding. So we need to make a change to a file called sysctl.conf. That's also in the etc or Isc File folder. So this is sudo nano etc sysctl.conf. Here we go. As you can see, there's a lot here. It's all commented and explanations for what things are for. By all means, go ahead and read it if you want to. But for the purpose of this tutorial, we're not going to bother with anything else. The only line that we need is this one here. To enable packet forwarding for IPv4. So that's IP Internet Protocol version 4. So we uncomment that, and it says net.ipv4.ip forward equals 1. So we're telling it to forward the packets, okay? Great. That's it. That's all we're doing in this file. So Control X. Y, do I want to save? Yep. Press enter, and that's done. So what we need to do now, if we want to activate that forwarding without rebooting the machine, all we do is we reissue that command, however with a -w as well. So this command, sudo sysctl, the switch is -w. If you want to find out all the different types of switches for things, you just use the help or the manual, online manuals for Linux, etc. Not going to go into them right now. IP forward equals 1. Just hit enter on that. And there you go, it's telling you it's done by repeating the declaration in net.ipv4. Okay, next we need to allow the IP tables rules for network address translation. And to do that, we will do this. So sudo, I love sudo etc. I go to bed dreaming about sudo. Was that sad? I guess so. Anyway, rc.local. We're just going to do. Oop, my bad. It's saying sudo what? You haven't told me what to do. So sudo nano. And we go to exit. This file is always empty, by the way, when you've got a fresh install by default, and then you can just add any declarations before the exit 0. It has to be before the exit 0 because I don't know if it's obvious to you, but exit and 0 means that's the end. There's nothing else after me. That's it. So we need to add 2 lines to this. We'll go ahead and paste those in. Here we go. So IP tables, we're telling it to forward accept, and then we're saying the network address translation post routing to ETH0, and then masquerade at the end there. They're the only lines that you need in this file. Don't worry if you're going too fast for this. You can see full explanation on my site, textbotde.com. Also, I posted one of these tutorials on the Ubuntu forums some time ago, which is gives you a lot more detail about why I'm doing this. You know, instead of just saying place this here, place this there. Okay, so anyway, that's done. So we Control X on that one, press yes, and save. Just like the IP for forwarding, we need to tell it to accept this and start using it without running the machine. So we'll do the IP tables forward accept first. Hit enter. And then we do the same for the network address translation. Hit enter. If there's any errors, it would tell you. Well, at least I hope. So, is that it? No. Now we need to install the DHCP server, because it's not on the machine already, unfortunately. Wouldn't that make life easy? Okay, so we need to do sudo apt-get install Isc. One moment. It's a bit slower at understanding my my commands there. Okay, so hit enter on that. That's all we need, and it should install quick enough. That's it. That quick. So let's clear the screen and let's do some more editing, shall we? Right. First one we need to edit is the dhcpd.com file. Bet you can't guess where that is. Sudo nano etc. etc. It says dhcp. dhcpd.conf. Great. Now look at this file. Tons of comments, tons of information. Again, if you want to, you can spend the time reading that. It helps, to be honest. I always say, you know, read even if you don't understand it. Just read it, because there will be a time where somebody will say something. They say, "Oh, that max release time, can you remember what it was?" And you say, I remember that. 7200. There you go. So anyway, you don't have to keep all of this stuff in here. I've got a bad habit of clearing my configuration files out and putting my own stuff in. I know what it needs to have in there, so I just clear it out and put my own stuff in. But you don't have to. It's completely up to you. But if you do, just make sure you make a backup. That's all I say, because there's nothing worse than starting over again. Okay. On this occasion, I'm not going to clear anything out because I want to show you step by step, going down line by line, what's what. So the top line there, we leave that uncommented. That's no problem at all. You see here it says option domain name. If you've got DNS running on your server, you could put something in. I love The Simpsons, so let's go for Simpson.home. And again, domain name servers, NS1. That's the most common way of declaring your name servers, NS1, NS2, etc. But I don't like to use that. I used to, so I just put an IP address in as 172. So we'll do that. In fact, it doesn't matter. Let's just put something in. So let's go bart.simpson.home. But that could quite easily be just NS1, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, you got the point, I think. Okay, default release time. I always put this up a little bit. Oops, a little bit higher. Let's go back up to that. Sorry. Here we go. Default release time 600. Keep it to what you like. I'll stick to 3600. 7200. That's fine. That stays the same. Okay, this is Dhcp server, so it needs to be in command of the network, your local network. So we have to uncomment authoritative. Okay. The next bit down. Log facility local 7 stays the same. Subnet. That one can be uncommented. However, there's a lot more to go in. So what I would like to do, I'll leave that one in there, and we'll go to the next line down. This is the one that we're concerned with. We're going to uncomment all these. And I'll tell you why now. Okay, so the subnet. You remember we said we were going to be 10.10.10.10.0. So our subnet starts with 10.10.10.0. Net mask. It's not 224. It's 0. So 255.255.255.0. Okay, range. We don't want dynamic boot P, so we'll take that out. So the range is going to be 10.10.10. I don't know what 20. It's up to you what you put in. Just make sure it's not over 254. And .10.10. Say 200. So that's the range of the IP addresses that are available on this local area network. There's another one I like to put in here. There's option subnet mask. Two 255.255.255.0 semicolon on the end. Broadcast address. Remember it's 10.10 and then all the bits turned on, so it's 255 on the end. Then option routers. This can be the IP address of your router of your gateway. So your router is 10.10.10.1. This is the IP address of the machine. So this is your router, and this is telling the clients on the network this is what the gateway is. Okay. Right, that's that. That really is all you need to do. However, you may find yourself in situations that you have, let's say, other servers on the network, and you don't want them to have dynamic IPs. You want them to have a fixed static IP. So what you do for that is you see this part here: host Fantasia, hardware Ethernet, fixed address, etc., etc. If you uncommit this, you can duplicate it, make as many entries as you like from here to here. The host will be your client. So our client's Fantasia, that's its MAC address, and that's its fixed address, which can easily be the IP address. If you've got a fully qualified domain for it, then fine. But it can easily be the IP address. But it makes no difference, because the hardware address is static and fixed anyway. So it always it'll look at that as well. Okay, so that's it. That's done for this file. Everything is looking okay for me. Just double check. Okay, so Control X and press yes. And save that. Okay. One more edit. We need to edit the Isc file. So we go to sudo nano etc default Isc, and here we are. The only thing that we're making changes to in this file is this here. So it's saying what device, what interface am I looking for to is going to tell me what IP address I can have. We're going to say you can have interface ETH1. That's your Dhcp server, and that's it. Simple as that. Remember, that could be in your case, in your environment, it could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You could have many, depending on how big the network is, how your network's separated out, etc. So yeah, this is a small one, so it's ETH1 in our case. So with this, press Control X, yes to save, and enter. Okay, clear the screen again. That's it. Let's restart the server. So I always say restart. I never do stop and start because I'm just too lazy for that. So let's go sudo service Isc server. Yep, restart. You will see unknown instance when I hit the enter button. That's because it's basically telling me, hold on, what do you mean restart? I've already started. I can't stop. Sorry, I haven't started, so I can't stop. So we'll just hit, and then it will say process. Okay, hopefully. So let's restart it. There you go. Done. Stop. Unknown instance, because it wasn't running. Isc Dhcp server, start running process 2063. No errors. That's it. All done. It was a very quick tutorial really on Dhcp. There are countless others out there. This one just brings it up to date on Ubuntu 12.10. Essentially on Linux distros, the process is more or less the same. There may be a few little tweaks here and there, depending on the distro you're using. yeah, that's it. If you've got any comments, please leave comments at the bottom. I'll try and answer them. And of course, please subscribe to my channel. And thank you for watching. Bye bye.